Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. Boy, I'm exhausted already. We've had so many amazing guests on, and now we have on next, back by popular demand. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago and got such a positive response from our listeners that I wanted to make sure we got him back on. Julio Gonzalez, who is the good friend, one of the top tax experts in the country, and a tax advisor, and advises small businesses and families, and does an amazing job of it. And his latest book, which is doing really well, I see it got 5 stars on Amazon. Congratulations, Julio. I love the title of the book, Why Billionaires Love the Tax Code. And then the subtitle is Follow the IRS's Lead to Build Wealth. Julio, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
So the book is doing great. Congratulations. And I am so pleased to have you back on. Let's start with what you started to tell us last time you were on, and kind of complete that conversation because we ran out of time. You were talking about all of the kind of loopholes and credits and all of these things that billionaires are able to take advantage of, but that many ordinary middle-class Americans can't. Give us kind of summary of how you view the tax code today.
Steve, I look at the tax code and say that every page, 2 million pages of tax code, every page has an advantage on how to lower our taxes, right? So the tax code is not how to pay more. That's the tax rates, right? The tax code, which you brought down so beautifully in the Big Beautiful Bill. So thank you for that. But the tax codes, every page there is like, how do we reduce the taxes? How do we reduce the taxes? What can you write off? So, you know, we're just trying to dissect those 2 million pages and maybe put a couple thousand tips that the billionaires use every day and give those to every small business owner, right, to take advantage of it.
So, you know, Julio, I'm not a rich guy. I'm doing pretty well. Trump has been very good for the Moore family, no question about it. But I'm not a multimillionaire by any means, but I'm paying right now because I live in a fairly high tax state. You're there in Florida, so you pay, you're the smart one. You live in Florida where there's no state income tax, but I'm paying almost half of my income in federal and state income taxes. So there must be ways I can lower my tax liability.
Yeah, Steve, right away. The big tip, move. Get out of that state.
I used to live in Virginia, and we moved across the river to Maryland, and I'm paying through the wazoo, and I'm just sick of it. So yes, I'm trying to move to where you are. You're there in Palm Beach, Florida, but there's been such a real estate rush there that we can't afford it right now. But you're right. I mean, one good tip, and this is what Americans are doing, as you know, Julio, they are moving from high tax to low tax states.
Yeah, there's a big exodus out of the Northeast right down to Florida because they want to lower their taxes by 10 to 12%, maybe 18% if you're looking in New York. And so that's a big move that can help right away and forever, right? Because, Florida's not going to start raising taxes anytime soon.
One of the things that our accountant recommended to us, I wonder what you think about this, Julio, was to put as much money as we could in 401k and, plans because it's tax deferred investment. What do you think of 401ks?
I love that idea, Steve, because, and you can do IRAs, 401ks, so you can do self-directed programs. I think it's so smart, right? Because, right, Steve, you're reducing the taxes by that amount, right? So you're taking a taxable income and moving it to non-taxable and put it into your retirement. And then in a lot of these accounts, you can just borrow and pay yourself interest. So amazing. I think that's a home run. I think that's a great strategy.
How much
not enough people do it.
Yeah. How much would you say, Julio, because I'm pretty typical. I don't really, even though I'm an expert on tax policy, I'm not an expert at all on the tax code. And when people go to see an advisor like you, and you're really one of the top, what's the name of the company again?
Engineer Tax Services.
Yeah, right. And you're one of the tops in the country. How much can you save, when someone comes in to get your advice? How much are you able to shave off of their tax bill usually?
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network. If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, I think about it this way, Steve. Most billionaires, most Fortune 500 companies pay between 9 to 11% of net income in taxes, right? Because of how they maneuver, use the tax code. Yep. And most people, individuals, small business owners, middle America pay 40 to 50%.
That's amazing.
So,
that's a that's a great and important point. And it's Bernie Sanders saying, well, the rich don't pay their fair share because there are all these, special privileges for people. It's not the rate. You want low rates and a broad base, right? And we've moved away from that. And it is a shame that the rich people are the ones who take advantage of these tax shelters and not middle income people are really struggling.
True. And all I tell in this book is let's act like the billionaires. Let's follow their code. Let's get your taxable income that you're paying into the government down to 11%, 10%, what the billionaires and the Fortune 500 companies, let's just do what they're doing. And, that's really what I'm trying to promote in this book. Let's do the same thing.
Yeah. The book, by the way, that Julio Gonzalez is talking about it's a great book. You can save money by reading this book, folks. Why Billionaires Love the Tax Code. The billionaires do take advantage of the special interest provisions, but what you're saying is they're available to everyone. They just don't know about it.
Everyone. And like you said, there's a good tip. Put more money into your IRA, your 401k.
Yeah.
That's a great way to bring that. The companies are doing that all the time with special programs for the CEOs and executives and putting retirement money into their programs. Look, another way, a lot of people, Steve, are working from home now, and they can take home office expense, right? They're driving their cars to business appointments, take the mileage expense, and so a lot of benefits there. There's so many programs. Pay our children. A lot of people can pay their children and take that as a tax deduction. The kids don't have to pay, the children don't have to pay taxes on it under a de minimis amount. And now we can use that money for what we're going to pay for their schools, their supplies anyway, right? So you're just taking the expense, but moving it into a tax deduction.
It's funny you should mention that because my wife and I, when we were going over our income the other day and our expenses and our taxes, that's something she was saying that we should do. And you're saying that, with one of our remaining kids who's 19, we could basically bring him on as an employee.
Exactly. And you get the expense. It's probably going to be an amount where they're not going to be taxed on it. And it's a win-win for both of you, right? And maybe you're already giving that money to him in the way of buying expensive school, things of that nature, right? Allowance, right? Let's just make it an income salary.
Amazing. So these are great tips
right there.
And so do you think, Julio, just last question on the way out, Julio Gonzalez is really an expert on this stuff. Do you think we're going to see tax reform in our lifetime? You and I worked together. You played a big role in the Big Beautiful Bill as we did at Unleash Prosperity. And it was a great team that you put together. What was the name of the group that you put together?
So we have the Economic Council, wonderful group.
Yeah. really smart people. And it played a big role in getting that bill through the over the goal line, which was an amazing victory. Congratulations to you on what you did. And I know you've been a strong supporter of Donald Trump. You live right down the road from him, from Mar-a-Lago. But in our last minute, what is your assessment of that big, beautiful bill?
Well, it's been tremendous. Look, you dropped the taxable income right now. They're not taxed on tips, right? They're not taxed on Social Security. We got some big benefits for middle class America. And you made the tax code permanent in a lot of areas. Right. Because every year, a small business owner and individual is waking up to a new tax code. This one's permanent. Oh, my goodness. Good for the accounting firms, good for the individuals. Now you can plan. Remember, Steve, a lot of these businesses couldn't even plan because they didn't know what the tax code was going to be that year, and it's always changing.
It's so true. Well, folks, Julio Gonzalez is a hero. He helped make that that big, beautiful bill possible. And incidentally, I'm estimating that the average family is going to save Julio about $2,500 to $3,000 a year next year on their taxes because of that big, beautiful bill. Most people haven't really felt the impact yet of that tax cut.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing in the filings this year that it's about even a little bit higher than that, $3,500 the families are enjoying. So tremendous work. That's a huge raise for them, a huge raise.
Yeah. Well, get the book. You want to save money, folks? You want to save money on your taxes? You've got to get Julio Gonzalez's best-selling book, Why Billionaires Love the Tax Code. He is one of the top financial tax advisors in the country. Julio, I hope to see you soon. And thank you so much for what you did for President Trump on that bill. We'll be right back, folks. This is the More Money Show.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.